Did you know that there are some very common resume mistakes that might be giving hiring managers the wrong impression of you if you're making them? If you're in the process of enhancing your resume, or maybe you just want to go pull it out and make sure you're not making any of these mistakes, I'd like to just do a quick resume enhancement 101 today. So I'm going to share my screen for a resume for Miss Jane Doe. Names have been changed to protect the innocent here. And I always like to start out with some things that I noticed that I like. So I highlighted the email address. I think it's great when you have an email address for purposes of your resume, at least, that's just your name. This is not the time to be indicating what your hobbies are or anything else about your life. We just need your name. That's all we need to know. The address is, it's totally appropriate not to have your street address for privacy purposes. But the lack of a phone number is a little frustrating. There might be a reason for not putting your phone number, but just be aware that it does make things a little more difficult and it might make the process go a little slower or unfortunately interrupt it. I want to talk a little bit about formatting because this is an indication for me as a recruiter of person's organization of thought and over maybe organization overall. So I would like to have seen a summary section here. You can see the skills, the education, the experience, everything is designated what it is. So I think it would be wise to follow suit and have the introduction of the summary named as such, although the summary does look just fine. The skills section, I think it goes without saying. We've got weird white space here. By the way, that I just randomly pulled this resume out of our database. So the other recommendation I would make just for balance and for it to be aesthetically pleasing, the bullet points being two columns with a variety of bullet points. This could easily be three columns with two bullet points each. It just kind of speaks to detail orientation and polish. On the education, there's a couple of points I want to make. There is no school listed for either of these degrees, which is a little curious, gives me a bit of a pause. Don't know if that was on purpose or if it was a mistake. And the graduation dates, I just want to mention some people ask me, do I put the date that I graduated or do I not? It's really a personal choice, but the relevancy of it is if you've recently graduated, then it's probably wise to put the date because it's what you've been up to recently. Also, if you're in a field where education is paramount, then I think that that also rises it to a level of relevancy where, you might want to include the date. And that relates to one other point on it. Where do you put education on your resume? Again, if you've recently graduated, I would say at the top is appropriate. And if it's something that's really important to the field that you're in, then it's absolutely appropriate to keep it at the top. That being said, if you graduated over 5 years ago and it's not something where you're in a field that's, you have to have a certain level of degree or a degree in a certain subject, then I think it's appropriate to put it at the bottom and really just dive into more of your work experience, which is what's more recent, more relevant. And the last point I want to make for today is a super common thing that I always kind of chuckle when I see it. And it's a lot of people unwittingly give this impression that they're not detail oriented. And I think it's because of the progression of edits that are happening from one position to the next. But that being said, go through your resume and make sure you haven't done this. In this first position, it is to present, and we see present tense under the bullet points as I've highlighted here. If you go on to the prior position, it is in the past, and we have past tense. Again, totally appropriate. Then we go back further, and we're back to present tense. Maybe I'm being nitpicky, but I have certainly had clients that pick up on that as well. A seasoned recruiter or hiring manager, HR professional is going to note that. And I wouldn't want you to spend all this time and energy on your resume and have something seemingly minor potentially trip you up and give people the impression that you don't have the level of detail orientation. So when you go to update your resume, Don't just update your most recent skills, your most recent position. Make sure you're going through the whole thing, keeping the formatting, the font, the text consistent. Get rid of any extra spaces. Make sure there's no places where there should be a space and there's not. And then certainly watch the tense as well. So that's my resume enhancement 101. We'll work on resume enhancement 102 for next time. And in the meantime, good luck with your pursuits.